And welcome to the Taking Flight podcast, the official podcast of Eagle Staff Clubhouse. We are here with Jamel, one of our faculty members. Hey, Jamel, and welcome to our clubhouse in this great state. How are you enjoying being here so far?
Hey, thanks for having me. It's been great so far. I've been to Maine a few times, but never been to Ellsworth, so it's good to be here. And what I've seen so far, I'm enjoying.
Okay. So we wanted to interview you to get your perspective on the model and also to hear maybe some stories you have from Genesis since you are a part of the original clubhouse.
Yeah, so my name is Jamel Smalls. I have been with the clubhouse since 2006. Yeah, and I'm at the original clubhouse, Fountain House in New York City, Hell's Kitchen neighborhood. When I started in 2006, I general social practitioner, which is the word we use to describe what we do. Most clubhouses say staff, program staff. They use different variations, but all in all, workers. And so, yeah, I started in 2006. I was a social practitioner in the research unit, one of our 7 units. And I was also working with our young adult program. So I spent a small amount of time helping coordinate that program, doing various work around sort of engaging the young people in the clubhouse. And so after some time, I switched to the wellness unit, and that was a few years there. During the pandemic, I was promoted to program director of the research unit. So I kind of did a flop. I was in research when I started, then I went to wellness, then I was back in the research unit. And so spent a few years there, and as of April of this year, I am back in the wellness unit as the program director. So I guess I love research and wellness.
So speaking on the young adult program, like how did you recruit and how did you build up the young adult program for Genesis?
For Fountain House.
For Fountain House, sorry.
For Fountain House. No, it's fine. So yeah, speaking of Genesis, we've had a long-standing relationship with Genesis and the young adult program for a long time. Fountain House and Genesis collaborated on a yearly young adult training. So clubhouses that were looking to build their young adult program would either come to Fountain House or go to Genesis, and was it a week, and we would kind of go through all the things related to engagement, recruiting, all of these things. So it's been an up and down battle. At Fountain House right now, it's in like its 10th iteration of a type of young adult program. They currently call it YAC, which stands for Young Adult Community Connection. So same thing, YAP, Young Adult Program, whatever you want to call it. At Fountain House, that's what we're calling it now. And, I think it's over time, young adult programs at most clubhouses, there was always a thought of, we get young adults in through recruitment at schools and job fairs and all of these things, inpatient programs where young people might be. And that's all good, but then what happens when they get to the clubhouse? What are you doing? How do you engage them? And so the trainings that we used to do, or we still do, kind of focused on that. But then there was a shift in kind of recognizing that young adults do want to engage in the work of the clubhouse, and how do you make that vibrant? What are their goals when they're at the clubhouse? So you're talking about job-specific young adult-specific TEs? Are you talking about what kind of education supports do you have at the clubhouse? So there's a variety of different ways clubhouses, whether they're new or old, can approach how you support young adults. But there's kind of those main factors, employment, education, engagement in the clubhouse once they're there. You really want to focus on the tour, right? When young adults come in, who are they seeing first? Are they seeing young people? Are they coming to a clubhouse and they might see older members and they are put off by that, not knowing that they can connect with folks that are their age. So there's a variety of different ways you go around the training and trying to get clubhouses on the same page around that engagement. But it's always a struggle, even for the most established clubhouses. It's a work in progress. So.
Because I know that's one of the things that we've definitely been digging on is the young adult part of the program. So we are trying to get more advice and be able to, hopefully now that I know about that, I can tell Alice about that, the young adult training, to hopefully maybe get more young adults, because our youngest was Nick and Shane, but unfortunately they both aged out, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
So one of the questions I had for you, what made you decide to be a faculty for Clubhouse International?
I think simply put, just another opportunity to sort of invest my time in the clubhouse model. Had been at Fountain House for a long time at that point, and just said to myself, I always loved going and doing the young adult specific trainings, or going to conferences to speak on young adults or any other topic for that matter. And so I feel like faculty, that's just another outlet to sort of meet new people, go and see and get other ideas. I mean, with faculty, you're going to evaluate and give advice and help clubhouses improve. But I think there's also a way that you can learn and sort of bring back things to your clubhouse. So I thought that was great.
What was one of the biggest aspects you've taken away as a faculty member, like maybe something you learned that stuck out to you?
I think that there's always room to improve. So you go to clubhouses again and you kind of say, oh, you should be doing this, or this is a way to improve in doing this. But again, like me going to clubhouses and seeing different things and saying in my head, oh, maybe that's something I can kind of take back to my clubhouse and kind of steal that idea, and that's pretty cool. I think that's the beauty of faculty. Yeah.
Another one, what has been one of your greatest challenges as a faculty, and how have you overcome it?
I think so. Faculty is something that you do.
If you would like to explain faculty as well too, that would be greatly appreciated, because we're also kind of educating as well.
Okay, so the Clubhouse International, which is the organization that oversees clubhouse and quality assurance, making sure clubhouses are doing things that are adhering to the standards, Clubhouse International standards, has enlisted members and staff of accredited clubhouses in sort of every 3 years evaluating clubhouses around the world.
Right.
So being a faculty, your member and staff team who go to clubhouses who are looking to renew their accreditation or get one for the first time, and making sure that they are adhering to the standards. And so, I'm here visiting Eagles Nest Clubhouse and making sure that you guys are doing what you have to do. You're doing things great. Things that you need to improve on. So we give you some recommendations or suggestions. Point out your strengths, so you can only improve and keep pushing the clubhouse model.
Okay. So I'll get back to my question that I asked. What has been one of your greatest challenges as a faculty, and how have you overcame that?
Okay, so that second part, I was going to answer the greatest challenge being that faculty is sort of, it's a volunteer position, right? You're, in addition to your day-to-day at your clubhouse, every maybe twice or 3 times a year, you are asked to do an accreditation visit. So I think balancing that responsibility and kind of switching that off and you know, connecting with the clubhouses, going through the paperwork that's needed. That's a challenge in the moment as you have to sort of balance both your regular day-to-day responsibilities with your faculty responsibilities. The greatest challenges, I guess in the process is, you know, kind of recognizing some deficiencies in some clubhouses and having to be honest. And this is something that a clubhouse might struggle with. You have to be able to tell them because how will they improve? And it's only for the benefit of the membership. And so, you know, you'll probably have some folks who don't agree with you. They might say, oh, we're doing this. You don't see it this way. So that's always a struggle. And so how you overcome it is just recognize that you're only there to help. You're not going there to be, you know, judge and say, oh, you're not doing this, that sucks, and things of that nature. You're only going there because you want sort of that quality assurance. You want that same right of membership for all members, whether you're in New York, whether you're in Ellsworth, Maine. You want that same type of
You want
services.
the same standard.
Yeah, the same standards, exactly.
Right.
Thank you. Yeah, so you overcome it by just I'm only here to help. I'm not here to bash anyone.
So what was your favorite country to visit if you have been out of the country?
Yeah, so I've been fortunate enough to, even before faculty, kind of working with the young adults and collaborating with Genesis Club, and then at one point, and I think it might still be the case, we did sort of a cross collaboration with Gothenburg Clubhouse. So in Sweden, so I was able to go to Sweden and work with that clubhouse, Fountain Music Gothenburg. So that was cool. Also going to, you know, Oslo, Fountain Music, Oslo Centrum, that was cool.
And what country is that in?
That's Norway.
Oh, that was the one that was just at Genesis a couple weeks ago. I remember hearing about that.
There's two in that area of Oslo.
Yep.
And then recently in January, I was able to go to Ireland.
Oh,
Yeah,
beautiful country.
So that was pretty cool.
So
Sumanes Clubhouse in Ireland.
How did you enjoy going to go see those beautiful countries?
It was really cool. I think that again, you just recognize that, you know, we're all trying to do the same thing.
Right.
We're just all trying to provide those the tools for, you know, maximum rehabilitation. It's pretty cool.
Okay. What have you learned from going around and visiting the various clubhouses you have?
I guess that was the proper answer. Yeah, that we're just the sizes are all different, but again, we're all just trying to do the same thing, and I think it's pretty interesting how you go about it. I mean, the goal is the same, process might be different in each clubhouse, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's one thing we learned. We got to, for the first time about a week ago almost, we got to do a clubhouse swap with one in Waterville, and we got to have me and Nick took the time and learn to talk about teas, because I am the one that's heading up that project, getting us teas and all the different spots, and then also got to sit with business, so got to learn a lot from them. You got to listen to various members who've been there for a long time, and get their perspectives on things too. In fact, actually, there was I know there was a faculty member, I can't remember his name, that was there as well that we got to talk to.
Yeah, that's because that clubhouse does sound familiar, as they probably do have faculty there.
Yeah, they do. I think they do.
Sounds familiar.
So, what is one piece of advice that you would give to a budding clubhouse?
This is always a good one. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Yep, that's it. And that's why we wanted to get you, because we wanted to get your perspective.
It's
since you're from the OG.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, obviously, I didn't see it kind of from its inception, but
Yeah.
it's really about like one day at a time. I know that sounds cliche, but it's goes without saying, but everything, not a lot, but everything in the clubhouse is all about collaboration and that consensus decision making. So
Oh.
just trust the process, and that it'll eventually get there with people that are invested. I mean, just lean on the membership, lean on the people that are invested in wanting to see this process through. And it could be about anything. I know you guys are working on getting a van, a new building, and you know you have all hands on deck in those opinions. And you got some people, okay, I'll go and look at the van, or you got some people will say, oh, I can go online and search for the van, and then coming together to sort of make those decisions, have those discussions. That's what a budding clubhouse and an established clubhouse should really kind of just trust the process, and that things will go through and you'll have difference of opinions, but I think that's the beauty, right? Everyone's invested. At the end of the day, you won't, you know, hear any rumblings of
Dissension.
yeah, because you gave everyone that opportunity to be invested, and then you'll see sort of like those fruitful returns on the back end with just the process that kind of gives into itself, and yeah, maximum participation.
What is one thing across the board that you have seen that all clubhouses struggle with?
I would say that's a good question. I wasn't prepared for that one.
Yeah, a
You
lot of these, just from what you have said, I'm coming up with questions.
Yeah, you stumped me on that one. No, but I mean, there's plenty of things like how do you bounce back or start employment in this age of post-COVID? That's everyone's struggling with that. How do you recruit and sort of maintain your young adult membership? So TE, employment in general, young adults, that continues to be a struggle. Yeah, and I guess depending on where you are, getting the word out, being a fixture in the community, those are some things that clubhouses struggle with.
Okay.
Probably many more.
No, I was kind of thinking along the lines. I'm like, okay. I know there's a few people that are gonna have questions, so I thought I'd bring that up.
Oh yeah.
When you talk to people about Clubhouse, what is one thing you always bring up? Or you can do more than one thing.
I talk about sort of choice. I think that's the biggest thing with people. Kind of understanding what separates Clubhouse from sort of the traditional psychiatric rehabilitation. What's the difference? And one of the big differences is choice. And that's, you could be talking to a prospective member, you could be talking to someone who wants nothing to do with Clubhouse, but you would explain it the same way. There's choice here.
Yes.
People choose how they want to utilize the Clubhouse. And so, in a nutshell, yeah, I mean, there's many other things, but I think the biggest thing people need to know is choice and the focus on strength. Strength-based, strength-centered members coming in and giving their expertise or focusing on what they're good at in order to bring themselves up, bring the community up, and that's what I usually kind of focus on.
So what brought you into the clubhouses originally? Were you a member? What got you in the door?
So this is an interesting story when people hear about it. when I'll preface it by saying TE really big to me, and at the end of the story we'll see why. So when I graduated from college, I still was unsure of what I wanted to do, like what field. I went to school for. My major was psychology. My minor was sociology, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do with that. And so when I would go home, this was every summer for the whole college career. I would kind of connect with the local temp agencies, and so they would send me to this office here, this place here.
Yeah.
And so after I graduated, I was still connecting with them.
Mm-hmm.
And one day they sent me to a mailroom. The mailroom was the mailroom of Newsweek, the publication.
Wow.
Right? So Fountain House, back in 2006, we had a TE at Newsweek. It was in the mailroom, and I think, if I remember, the jobs that the members had was delivering packages in the building.
Right.
And so I was there through the temp agency. You're in the mailroom and you're helping. I was pulled to the side by one of the regular employees of Newsweek, and they said, those people over there, they're from Fountain House, and this is what they do, and they come here for 3 hours, and they, work and do all that. And I said to myself, that's a cool concept. Someone who, struggles and hasn't been working in a while, they're only here for 3 hours? I don't want to work for 8 hours half the time, right?
Oh!
That's a great concept.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I need to look this place up. I did, and the rest is history. So I found out about Fountain House through TE, just a regular Joe Schmo working a temp agency job for the day. I never went back to Newsweek. They only needed me for the day. But in that day, I saw 3 of our Fountain House members working on the job. What was explained to me by just a regular other employee of Newsweek is that, they're here for 3 hours. And I said to myself, that is a great program, whoever's doing it. And so I looked it up, applied, and the rest is history. So TE, I firmly believe in it. I think it's a great sort of foot in the door, people taking a step back and wanting to sort of reemerge in the workforce. I think it's wonderful. So that's how I found out about Fountain House and Clubhouse.
So how have you helped people overcome the benefits part of the TE? Because a lot of people that we have came across with it are worried about losing their benefits when it comes to that.
I think that's always going to be a source of contention and sort of, this sounds cliche, sort of really, really, really leaning on those relationships that you have with folks. Obviously, there are people that'll come to the clubhouse, and you might not have a relationship with them, but just kind of that constant reassurance that we've been through this before. As a community, we know what the concerns are of the community, and we've seen people who are in the same boat as you do it, right? So essentially, why can't you do it, right? Like, why, like, you really want to have those honest conversations and say, hey, we have you through this, we got you through this. The TE system is for that support. And again, it's not going to be easy for people to flip that switch and say, okay, I hear you, I'm going to try it. So it's a constant reassurance, it's a constant discussion. It should be talked about often, those supports. I hear you guys are great at having the specialists come in and try to speak with people, because it's going to take a while for people to switch that light switch and say, you know what, I'll try it, but it's not easy.
No,
it's not easy. So, but people have done it, right? Like, what makes your situation, if you're saying, oh, I have benefits, this is how much I get, you had 20 other people that had benefits, same amount, were able to do TE, and they came out you know, $1 was taken for every 2 that they made, and like we went through the same thing. So I'm trying to convince you that it's the same. It's going to be the same, barring any like other situations that's thrown in there or wrenches. But
And to be honest, this is the first time that we've actually have had an effort where we've actually gotten our foot in the door
yeah,
with 3 or 4 places.
Yep. Yeah.
And I'll say this, I'm grateful for that because I put in a lot of that groundwork. So
Yeah.
now we're just trying to get these off the ground to get people into place.
Yeah.
Andrew, do you have any questions you want to pose?
I'll let you know if I do. I don't right now.
We'll come back.
Yeah.
But that's all I have. If you want to stop recording, you can.
Okay. I do have a question. Do you have any history of yourself? It's a personal question with mental health struggles.
Not that
No depression or anxieties or PTSD.
Not that I know of. I diagnosed myself with anxiety.
Anxiety. Yeah.
This quiet anxiety where I'm just like always on edge. So on a personal level, I mean, and you hear this a lot. What mental illness is not sort of this like secret in the dark, right? Everyone, whether it's them or family, is affected by mental illness, and so you know we have tons of folks who come in and apply to be a social practitioner, whatever position is at Fountain House, who will divulge some. You know, I had a family member. For me, it was my mother. My mother, lifelong, hospitalized, long term, short term. My uncle. So when I first applied for Fountain House, that was my story, my personal story. So it was my mother, being raised by my grandmother because my mother was not able to take care of me. So, that's my story. But me personally, unless I just say, my quiet anxiety, no, I have not struggled with anything.
But you do. It's
yeah.
in your life in a
yeah.
more than real way.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
One more question.
Yeah.
Tell us about Hell's Kitchen.
Oh, Hell's Kitchen? It's funny because I want to say Clinton. They're trying to change the name for, real estate purposes. They want to make it sound all fancy now. So they don't use Hell's Kitchen anymore. I heard it's Clinton, but I could be wrong on the name. Hell's Kitchen, 2006, lunch specials on the block were $7.75. Now everything's like $15 just for a lunch special when you go to these restaurants. But it's what you've heard. I mean, you can tell by looking at it the sort of history that it had with the gangs of Hell's Kitchen and the food. They have Restaurant Row. So we're on 47th between 9th and 10th. Restaurant Row is on 46th between 9th and 8th. So like right there, you have a bunch of restaurants. And along 9th Avenue, you have tons of restaurants. But Fountain House being there since 1948, definitely well known. What do they have? It's called the Block Association, or they know, they know about us, and so it's all food, huge LGBTQIA community. It's a happening neighborhood, and and it's a hop, skip, and a jump from Times Square. Yeah, Times Square is on. It kind of goes between 42nd, I think 42nd and like 50th is considered. I could be wrong about that too. But then it's right there. So it's nice. It's a nice area. It is a nice area. I think the pandemic kind of changed it a bit in terms of homelessness is more prevalent, and kind of seeing it. It's a struggle, but overall, like most of New York, everything is getting priced out. It's a struggle.
Gentrified, all that fun stuff.
Gentrified, yeah. It's a struggle, but Hell's Kitchen is Hell's Kitchen. It's a nice place to be. It's funny. I always struggle with the back and forth of whether, if I could afford it, would I live in the area, and it could get loud at night. Because you're not only with the restaurants, you have Times Square, so it's touristy, but you also have the theater district.
Oh yeah, that's
right
true.
there.
Not that far
So,
from Times Square.
Yeah, not that far. So
Yeah.
you have Broadway, and it's just a loud area at night. Our evening weekend program when you leave Wednesday and Thursday nights, like it's just buzzing. So it's a nice area. It is a nice area, but you have to be built for it if you want to live there. Yeah. But I've seen the changes being there since 2006. It's definitely changed. Yeah.
All right, you're good.
All right.
Thank you, Jamal.
Thank you.
All right, it's ready to go.
Welcome back to the Taking Flight podcast, the official podcast of Eagles Nest Clubhouse. We are here with Delane, who is part of our accreditation team. So hello, Delane.
Hi.
Welcome to our clubhouse and our beautiful state of Maine. So we have a few questions. And to find out a little bit more about your clubhouse. What made you want to become a faculty member?
Well, I joined the faculty because I had been a clubhouse member for many years, and I fell in love with the clubhouse model. I had been to colleague training and really discovered that clubhouse was a beautiful way to help people with a mental illness find recovery just by building relationships with other people. And I really wanted to give back and help people find the same recovery that I had found, and go to other clubhouses and just share the standards and help people live them out to the best of their abilities.
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's why I went to college training, because I wanted to learn the exact same thing, because I completely love this program, and I don't know where I would be without it. So what would you think is your biggest challenge that you've ever had to face in accreditations?
My biggest challenge actually is the travel, because I have to go through airports and deal with flight issues.
Yeah.
For my very, very first accreditation, I found out at 3 a.m. that my flight was canceled, and it was a connecting flight. So the first leg of the flight was canceled, so that meant obviously I wasn't going to make the second leg. And it was 3 a.m, so I was frantic, and I didn't know what to do. There's a travel agency that we use, and it was just a disaster. And I had to meet my partner at an airport at a specific time so we could get a ride, and I booked a flight on a different airline, and I had to end up getting reimbursement. And that same visit, on the way back, there was a flight delay, which again meant that I had to miss a connection, and I ended up in a different airport. And so then the second visit I went to, again, I had travel issues, and I called Jack Yatsko, and I was like, is every accreditation visit like this? Because if it is, like, the stress of the travel is making me not want to even be on Clubhouse International faculty, because it was just so stressful.
Was it too bad coming to our clubhouse, or?
I actually ended up with a delay getting here, and the last time that I did an accreditation visit in Maine, I was in the Portland airport, and the flight was delayed so long that they ended up having to fly me to Philadelphia, where I spent an overnight visit and ended up with no dinner, and ended up like a whole day delayed. So yes, travel has been a nightmare. And I would say there is like not a solution to that.
Yeah, it sounds like this.
Yeah. I actually did get one of those sunflower lanyards. It's like shows that you have like an invisible disability, so hopefully people will give you a little bit more accommodation and understanding.
Yeah. It's just like one of those things where it's like every time you look up and you realize it's been canceled, like your soul just drops out of the body.
Yeah, I had a really helpful accreditation partner at one of my last accreditations because I was so distraught and like almost in tears. I could like hardly talk to the agent that like she had to basically take over for me and speak for me and say, is there anything you can do to like help me out, because I was just so upset, and luckily I had an accreditation partner there who could help me.
You always have that buddy with you. So, speaking of travel, what was your favorite state that you've been to so far?
Hawaii.
So, how long ago was your Hawaii trip?
It was, I believe, it was October of 2022, because I was flying home on Halloween, I think.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
So, how'd you like Hawaii?
Hawaii was beautiful. It was a great trip.
Like it's actually kind of funny because when we were getting ready for this accreditation, I went onto the Clubhouse International website to see all the clubhouses worldwide, and I just saw that there was like 3 in Hawaii, and then there's 3 on the island of Honolulu, and then there's 1 on like an offshore island in Hawaii. So and you're coming now saying that you were at the Hawaii one. That's one of the things that I've noticed is no matter what clubhouse I've been to or whatever, I've always learned something more, and I'm guessing you learned a lot in during your accreditations.
Yeah. I got my luggage destroyed on the Hawaii one.
Really? No.
It was coming home though. But I did get a new suitcase out of it. United is good about replacing your luggage.
Oh no. So what have you learned from going around visiting some other clubhouses?
Sorry, I wasn't supposed to say
No, it's fine.
It's
It is fine.
Well, from visiting different clubhouses, I've learned a lot of different ways of doing things that I can bring back to my own clubhouse, which is actually very helpful. I've also learned that I shouldn't take the standards for granted, because some of the standards that seem easy for my clubhouse are really hard for other clubhouses to achieve, and there's a good reason for every single standard.
Yeah.
That's just very eye-opening. And the other thing is, my understanding of the standards is not always the only understanding of the standards, because when I have a different accreditation partner, they have a slightly different take sometimes, and what I saw as just obvious, I sometimes have to enlighten myself and see in a slightly different way, and things that didn't seem like big deals suddenly do like become a big deal to me whenever I have an accreditation partner that like explains things a little differently, and then I see the standards like slightly in a different way, and that's just like, whoa, my mind is blown. So that's really cool.
So you're here with Jamel. He's from Fountain House. How do you feel about working with him?
Well, I can't say anything bad about Jamel. It's okay. It's good.
So what piece of advice would you give to other clubhouses when you're getting ready for an accreditation?
For getting ready for an accreditation, I would say the self-study is very important, because it gives us an idea of what your clubhouse is about before we even get here.
Yeah.
And when you're preparing to self-study, it's something that the whole clubhouse should do together.
Right.
It's not something that a director should just do on their own, like last minute. We want to have, and it should also be something very honest. And
Yeah.
if there are issues, we want to see them, and so we can help you.
Yeah, we had a little bit of when we were getting ready for our accreditations and setting the self-study, me and Alice went to the 2-week training. So we came back in time just to finish the self-study before you guys got here. But we were able to get that done, so yeah.
Yeah, because the Hospice Agency wanted to, unfortunately, throw their 2 cents into our self-study. And we actually had to put our foot down and tell them no.
Well, there is an
About that.
hospice agency portion, and that's important too
Yep.
to find out what their understanding is from their perspective.
Right.
Right, well, let me rephrase that. They wanted to control more of the narrative with our end of the report.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, our hospice agency. We're glad that they're here for us. But there's been times where we've had to be like, hey, hold on a moment. But when you talk to people about Clubhouse, what is the one thing you always bring up?
So when I talk to non-Clubhouse people about Clubhouse, I explain Clubhouse as it's a place where everyone is treated equally, and it's a place where everyone is treated just like they ought to be treated. Because the
Yes.
Clubhouse is a place where we're all just regular people.
Exactly. That's what I like so much about it is like I've never felt like odd out of a Clubhouse. I've always enjoyed being around people, and like I said, I'm a very big people person. I'm a very talkative person. It's kind of hard to get me to be quiet, but that's what I like is that no one judges me for being that way at all. So that's one of the big things that I like about Clubhouse. It's helped me a lot, and as a lot of other people would say, like, I don't know where I'd be without it. So we thank like Clubhouse International for setting up these clubhouses. And to be honest, I feel like there should be more in the world because it's
For sure.
like Genesis said, like Clubhouse is the best kept secret, and I truly believe that.
Yep.